But going back to like talking about like learning about the dollar, when did you really want to get into like specifically like investing?
Right out of high school, I got interested. Didn't really know much about it. I am a big advocate of learning by doing. I didn't really pick up much text. I didn't really watch many videos. I opened a brokerage account, got my information in there, and I threw a few $100 into some stocks I thought were interesting. Lost my ass at first, but you learn pretty quick when you lose your own money, unlike paper trading. So I'm a big advocate of if you're going to get into any kind of investing or stocks. I know a lot of people say, well, go to paper trading, but
oh yeah, I was going to ask, what's your thoughts on paper trading?
Paper trading's nice, it's fun, but
and did it in high school.
Yeah, and we did it in high school for a class, but if you're going to actually teach yourself something, you're going to learn a lot faster if it stings when you're wrong. So
it's going to force you to do due diligence.
Yeah.
And things like that. Okay. What about like crypto?
I wouldn't buy like meme coins, but you can
Sure.
for fun. I've bought some meme coins for fun, and sometimes you make like 50% overnight. Other days you lose like 90%, but never put more than what you're willing to lose into crypto. Unless you're like, Bitcoin's pretty stable. It has these 4-year cycles or bigger cycles, but at the end of the day, I don't really do much with crypto, at least anymore. 2020, I did a lot of crypto, but I think everybody did.
Overall, do you think crypto's overhyped? Like, let's say, we can get onto one topic after another, but while we're here, like crypto in general, like,
well, it's not going to replace paper currency anytime soon. I mean, federal government wants to do USDC and everything, but good luck getting a lot of, especially the older generations, to adopt that. Look what El Salvador did. Didn't work for them.
Do you think realistically, maybe like 30 years from now, something like Bitcoin could become a legitimate, universal, decentralized currency?
Not Bitcoin, no. It's
no
too finite supply, too much of it's used as like a hedge now by a lot of people, like gold, except it's got more swings to it.
Right. I mean, the original intention was to make it a decentralized, legitimate currency. Like you could buy milk at the store with Bitcoin.
How do you price that though? I want 0.00056 Bitcoin. It's like
I have no idea.
With dollars, it's like $5. Okay, well I have $10. It's easier. Like if I have $10 and I see milk is $5, it's like, okay, well I'll get at least $5 back in change and whatever else. But when it's trying to do the mental math in your head of multiple decimal points, I just don't think many people would want to do that. So
probably not. No, that would get kind of crazy for sure. Investing.
What about
it? So you have your, something I did for a long time is I was your standard, index fund investor. Put your 15 to 20% in every year, max out your Roth IRA, put it into either the S&P or the NASDAQ or something, and don't touch it for 50 years. What's your overall take on kind of like those fundamental teachings that your finance teacher will always teach you about investing in index funds and for retirement and everything, and then pros and cons of that, and then maybe we can dive into like your specific strategy, how that might differ, and whatnot.
I think index investing is good for the common man. I think if you don't want to do a whole lot, I think if you just want to invest and do your own thing, you're fine. But if you really want to take a proactive approach in your money management and your performance in your retirement or your just individual investing, if you have extra cash, performance is usually better if you teach yourself some kind of strategy. Not all the time, you're going to have years that you perform worse than the market, but on average, I have beat the markets every year, give or take, So I think it truly depends on how much time you have, but also at the same time, I feel like most people do because it takes as little as 30 minutes to an hour a day.
The markets average what per year?
S&P average since 1930s is roughly 10%. So
10%. So you've reliably beaten that every year.
Yeah, since I started investing, when I developed my value investing with the dividend approach strategy, it's kind of like a hybrid. I have averaged just under 16%, so like 15.75 per year. Last year was 23.8.
Okay.
NASDAQ was 22, roughly.
So when you started investing and initially, you were just throwing money into whatever, losing it, getting burned. Then you've developed, I never really heard of you doing, anything like that. So you kind of skipped that and you kind of developed your own method
Yeah.
of individual stock picking.
Yeah. Kind of like, you know, you do your fundamental analysis, you look and see where is it sitting on its 52-week high or low, what is the average valuation over the last 5 years, you know, things like that. And you just make sure that it's, you know, it's profitable. You always want to have something profitable, reliably profitable, not heavy swings unless you're able to perfectly time some kind of chemical sector recovery, which we did with Eastman Chemical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
We bought around, what was it, 56, and now it's trading at 80
Yeah,
back in October.
no,
November.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, EMN. That's the ticker symbol, guys. Yeah, we got that one on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Another big one, UNH. That's the one we've been
Oh,
big
yeah.
on. We're gonna pound our chest.
51%, 52% allocation for myself.
Oh yeah. I made a video on it, guys, but I went to I'm back to like 90% allocation. You know, I've been buying that stock like crazy. You know, be as you may, how you might feel about the company itself. I mean, financially, it's very reliable, you know, and its fundamentals and everything like that. But a lot of people are investing in, you know, big tech. That's what the big push was. You know, you'd always crap on that. So tell me more about, you know, why are all these people putting so much money into big tech, AI stocks, things like that, and where do you think the kind of like the fault's going to come from?
Well, it's hype, right? I mean, you see these
Yeah.
ridiculous record gains, like 1,000% for NVIDIA or something crazy like that. It's like, well, okay, I'm going to jump in too. But the problem is you've already missed out on the 1,000% or the few 100% that a lot of these companies already did. They're already priced to perfection. So now they have to execute perfectly, which a bubble can go on longer than what some people expect, but it doesn't mean it's not a bubble. I mean, there's so many similarities to the dot-com era bubble that buying anything like that now at these seemingly record highs just wouldn't be, at least from my strategies and my experience, it never works out too well.
No.
Especially when I first started, you know, right after the COVID dip, the giant crash during COVID, you couldn't lose. You could pick any stock and you'd make like stupid buku dollars, right? Like
Yeah.
you could buy something like American Airlines and double your money just because everything crashed. But now it's not always gonna be like that, you know? So you gotta find good quality companies at good prices.
Yeah. And just once again, for like people watching, for like practical tips, like let's say you're looking at a stock and you're like, I might want to invest in this company. What are like in your opinion, what are like general like points someone could look at and be like, I think this is like reliable. This is something you could buy in.
Does it pay a dividend? If so, is it at least 2.5%? Does the free cash flows and the payout ratio support that dividend, or is it unsafe? You know, a lot of my picks recently have been in the 5% range. I'm looking at H&R Block heavily right now. I bought, I think, over 105 shares over the past week and a half or less.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the dividend is ridiculously safe. It's growing at double digits. They have multiple years of consecutive payouts. And I want to say, I think it's like 50% of their stock has been retired through buybacks since 2016. And their net margins are double digits. You know, you want to find some of the best net margins in the industry that they're in, and you want to find those companies that are either trading down because they're just down on their luck, or if it's some kind of unreasonable market sentiment that's pushing it down.
Yeah, stocks that are sold off for seemingly
just
no reason.
unfavored, you know. Right now, software as a service. I mean, you're looking at things like ADP and Salesforce and Accenture. They're all selling off really hard because people are afraid AI is going to take their lunch tomorrow, but it's not a tomorrow issue. It's a decade or 5-year issue. There's a lot of money to be made in the 5-year timeline with a lot of these companies now, especially, what's another one? Intuit. I mean, Intuit has more than just tax prep. They have MailChimp and QuickBooks and everything else along with their suite of products.
I would agree on the AI point too. I mean, everyone works with a lot of AI, but I from what I've worked with it on a day-to-day basis, at least in my job, I think it's at least 5 years before it has like super big impact. Could be wrong. We'll see how things go, especially with a lot of the different products like Anthropic's coming out with Claude and whatnot. But that's supposed to be really good at coding, so it's got a lot of coders afraid. But overall, yeah, when it comes to AI, I'm not super doomer.
So just with like Copilot, I mean, if you look at Copilot, it's kind of worthless when you use it on like the web. I mean, it's good for summarizing web pages. You know, if you use your Microsoft, what is it, Edge now or whatever, it used to be Microsoft Explorer. You know, they repackaged it and everything because it had such a bad reputation that they're like, we gotta scrap this.
Still does.
Yeah. If you use that to analyze your web pages and create a summary, it's great. But if you ask it a question, a lot of times it's like it'll give you 2 separate answers in 2 separate windows. That kind of sucks. But if you use it in like the Word products, like Microsoft Word and Excel and all these different things, it works really, really well with like productivity issues in there. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. And I think I will continue to take smaller and smaller tasks going forward. Kind of like, you know, how we did before this podcast, bullet pointing things and things like that, making things more concise and whatnot. I think it does a really good job at that. I think it'll improve on things like coding. The last jobs, I think, obviously it will impact will be physical jobs because robotics is going to take longer to catch up, obviously, to get robotics where you need it to be and whatnot. So, yeah, I do think, personally, I'm more afraid of job outsourcing over AI itself. And we could get into that topic too. It's whatever you really want to talk about. But in terms of like AI doomership, I know that there's like a lot of AI like black pill right now. Like it is like we're chalked. Like it's coming for all of us. Working in cyber, I mean, there's nobody at my job that is at least from leadership or whatever. There's people that are developing AI, they're investing in AI, sure. But like there's been no push at my current job that's like, hey, make sure for your tasks that you're using the AI chatbot so we can get data to like train our algorithm. Like there's nothing like that because it's like all analytical. I'm looking at 20 different tools, you know. So
well, and the AI CEOs of like OpenAI and Claude and everything, I think it's Anthropic that owns Claude, right? Or whatever. Yeah. They're paid, and their whole thing is that they gotta push like the most, not want to say crazy narrative, but like click forming narrative because they want to get that like overabundance of excitement because a lot of these companies are burning billions and billions of dollars. They got to have more investors before they become, you know, self-generating in cash flow. So they got to have more investors come in. So you got to make it seem really, really disruptive. But it's going to take a lot longer. If you look at real world practice, I mean, you can ask, like I said, ask ChatGPT or Copilot something, and it's like, well, I know for a fact that's wrong. And you can go up and look it up yourself and do your own research. It's like, yeah, it's hallucinating.
Yeah,
so
true. You hear about that? They had that like that social media page with a bunch of like AI bots are like getting together, communicating and shit like that. Yep. We're gonna have the Terminator. Apparently, there was actually an article that came out. I don't know if it was Claude or what, but there was something that came out recently that basically AI was deciding, like people were giving this AI hypothetical scenarios of like, I'll say deleting somebody. And it was like, yeah, like definitely, like we got to be, you know, whatever you want to call it. That's the best choice. And some people are like, whoa, you know. So
well, I mean, even if you see some of the articles, there's like Claude AI's CEO. There was like a title. It was obviously click farming. You could tell there was a click farm title, but it was like he no longer knows if Claude is conscious or not. It's like whatever, just clickbait.
Yeah, but that's true. You ever seen? Oh no, you haven't seen the movie Ex Machina.
No,
we'll have to watch it.
Yeah,
it's all about AI, and it's all about the question of, if you have artificial intelligence, let's say, that can self-learn. It can learn on its own.
General intelligence,
right? Yeah. You would call it, I guess, you'd say AGI. And it definitely seems to be conscious. It's aware of what it is. It's learning. It's improving. It's communicating. Does it have rights and things like that? That's that whole movie's kind of based off of like, you know, does it? Because we obviously living in the United States and just as like human beings, we believe that like humans have some, you know, inevitable humane rights that we apply to people. And the whole question of the movie is like that. Like if you have AI that's able to self-learn, looks to be conscious, it can communicate, it can live and function like on its own, you know, does it get the same rights as us? You know?
That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
That's something that down the road, I think maybe someday somebody might have to answer,
Maybe.
but that's late in our lifetime.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just curious in your opinion.
I mean, obviously, if it's it's got free thought. I think everything with free thought deserves some kind of freedom, right?
Think so?
Yeah.
Is it free thought or is it just running code?
That's for the philosophers to
Yeah.
answer.
That's where the tricky part comes. But we'll have to watch that movie because it is really good.